Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gavin. With me this week, I have Andy and Pete for the latest version of Winners and Losers. This week, we're going to talk about Ireland and Stephen Kenny, Xabi Alonso, the LFC legends, and Gareth Southgate. We're going to be going out of here in an hour because FIFA 23 is loading. I'm being honest with you. So there you go, up front and honest with you. This show is brought to you by Bobby's Wish to Walk. He is €6,400 short of his 150,000 target. So if I really hope this gets done in the next week or two. But that's what the show is brought to you by. There is a couple of ads in the middle. I'm going to warn you, but we have to read them out so we can pay the fucking bills because it costs about $4,000 to light all of us up. That's the way it's gone in Ireland.
No,
Andy,
is it not cheaper over in Spain?
No, sure. They don't get on with the Russians.
It is a little bit, but I mean, everything is more expensive in Ireland, as you boys know.
But the government are going to give us all €600 in credit for our energy bills in the new.
That's
in the
not
budget.
to be sniffed at, to be fair.
It's not to be sniffed at, but what they're going to do is you're going to find that €600 over a year, right, is £50 a month, and your bill is going to go up £150 a month.
Accordingly, yeah, exactly.
So it's basically just telling you that
your bill won't go up €150 a month.
Your bill is going to go through the fucking roof in the next 3 to 4 months.
Mine be grand.
Why are you just going to wear loads of jumpers? Honestly, it's going through the fucking roof. I was talking to a guy the other day that runs a shop, and his electricity bill and maintenance, utility bills, $50,000 a year in the shop. He reckons it'll be somewhere between 100 and 150 grand a year over the next 12 months. Yeah, so there you go. So basically what they'll do is they'll just tell you, we're going to let them charge you whatever the fuck you want, and we're going to give you this little bit back. But anyway, we're not on here. This isn't the fucking Eddie Hobbs show. Winners and losers, you're all very welcome. If you're in the chat, throw in your comments. Hit the like button if you want, but we don't insist on it. If you want to subscribe, you can if you want. But again, we don't insist on it. But we're going to start with Pete's winner of the week. Is that right, Pete? Yeah, go on, you go, shoot.
100% Stephen Kenny for me. Listen, a huge fan, obviously, the way what he's trying to do, the way he's going about it. I know, all the naysayers, including Martin O'Neill the other night, will say that it's a results business, and it is. But if we're going to toe the line,
Martin O'Neill said this.
He did on one of the broadcasts.
The irony.
He was having a go, as he's entitled to at the end of the day.
I'm not too sure he is, but go on.
Well, but for me, if I'm being honest with you, it's the first time I've been excited about the way Ireland play football. I mean, to give you an example, I've never seen, not in my lifetime, an Ireland team that looked so lethal on the break. Only missing, that lethal finish, to be quite honest. I thought Troy Parrott's chance was gilt edged. I mean, how many goals would Robbie Keane get in this team? It's another conversation. But the FAI seem to be allowing him to get on with what he wants to do, and that's from back to front. There's a lot of lads in that side that are comfortable with the ball, with that, coming out from the back. I like the look of Josh Cullen, for example, in the middle of the park. He looks comfortable, looks neat and tidy. The young lad Knight looks like he's got a bit about him. We seem to have a bit about us all over the park. And to be honest with you, Obafemi looks like one of the quickest players I've ever seen in a green short. The only thing we were missing a little bit maybe was somebody to make it stick up top in at times when you kind of needed that little bit extra. We got at Scotland. We seem to be getting at teams out of possession, and we're lethal on the break. The FAI seems to be trusting Stephen Kenny, trusting what he's very, very good at, and that's getting teams to play football. For me, Stephen Kenny, listen, we lost the game ultimately, but on another night you beat Scotland. You score once in the first half, you probably get 2 or 3 in the second with a better finish or with more luck in front of the goal. Scotland huffed and they puffed, but for me, we look like a serious football team again. Big winner, Stephen Kenny.
Andy, Ireland, Stephen Kenny. I don't think you watch much of Ireland, but just from probably the outside looking in, what's your take on it?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like a lot of people have kind of fallen out of love with international football as a general rule. I think it's just become an inconvenience more than that, and World Cups don't feel anything anymore. European Championships, these breaks are disruptive to the football that we want to watch all the time. As much as, I'd love to see Ireland get better again, but I just haven't had that. It just doesn't get me up for it anymore. I went to watch the Ireland team train a couple of months ago with Stephen Kenny, and I was very impressed with what he's doing there, the commitment the players have. There's a great togetherness. It made me want to get into it again, but I don't know, Gav. They just don't do it for me anymore, and international football as a general rule doesn't do anymore. But certainly, there should be absolutely no talk of letting Kenny go. He's definitely took the Ireland team the right direction, and maybe he will grasp our interest again. I'm not speaking for everyone. That's just the way I feel about it. I don't really have much of a desire to go, but it's probably the closest I've ever been to wanting to start going to the Aviva again. And look, what he has dealing with the players he has available to him is excellent. I've
no interest in them, right? Not this current setup, but Trapattoni and O'Neill done my head in, because look, I was brought up on Jack Charlton being the Irish manager, right? And it was the complete opposite with Jack Charlton. He had an array of talent at his disposal, but he went about a way of playing where he hit balls long into channels. The forward would walk off that, get the ball to fullbacks and put the ball in the box, and we played two up front, usually like the likes of an Aldridge and Cascarino going back into the late 80s. And that's the way we played. And Ireland were ranked probably third or fourth in the world or something ridiculous around 1989, 1990. It was mad. And that's the way he done it. But he got results, right? And okay, Trapattoni gets them to, was it Euros in 2012, was it, in Poland or something like that, wasn't it? And then they get to France in 2016 under O'Neill. But I knew going there, watching them both go there, you're going to go, these are going to get shown up for what they are. And it was a decent team that neither played percentage football or played football. There was no they were caught in some sort of time warp under Trapattoni in particular, which was horrendous. This team though, and I only watched the highlights of the game the other night, but this team to me, like you said, would get you back interested. International football is the pits, because they keep playing these fucking Nation Leagues games that give you points towards your Euro qualifiers or your seeding, and then you go and you try qualify, and then it's all over the place, and it doesn't hold much interest for an awful lot of people. I say there's loads of people out there that used to watch international football and just don't anymore. But when it comes to Stephen Kenny, Kev makes a good point. He said the 19s and the 21s look like they're going to go to championships over the next little while, and you know what? That could be a good time for the next 5-10 years or whatever it might be. I think the whole Brexit thing has helped as well, because there's a lot more players staying in Ireland for that extra year or two and getting really good grounding before they might go to England, and they're getting higher standard moves to England than they would have 5-10 years ago, where they're just going down to play for fucking someone in the Vanarama League, where they're getting Championship and League One moves now. Now they're not the top level, but they're getting moves where they can progress, and 1 or 2 steps up the ladder is a really high quality of football. Having said that, there's no other option out there for me. I'd leave Kenny in that job regardless of what happens in the 2024 qualifying, because what's your alternative? It's the likes of a Trapattoni, a Martin O'Neill, a Harry Redknapp, someone like that just comes in and goes out and will literally be telling you within 6 months these players aren't good enough. And that's not what you want. You want the manager to go in and go, I'm working with young players, I'm trying to play this way. They're going to get used to it. It's going to take a couple of years. And we might see, it's a bit like Northern Ireland. Do you remember Northern Ireland were just atrocious, and then they just stuck? Yeah. They just stuck and said, this is the fella. It was Michael O'Neill. This is the fella. Mick O'Neill was at Rovers and was brilliant at Rovers and took the Northern Ireland job. And he just stuck with him, and he just kept getting better and better. And this same squad stuck together for 5-6 years, and then they were qualifying for tournaments and stuff like that. And it was all off the basis of that. So I think, look, they're nowhere near where they should be or where they can be. But you have to take everything in perspective when it comes to Ireland, where you say to yourself, you're probably still looking 2 or 3 years down the road.
We're just lacking 1 or 2, top quality players. Like, Scotland have players playing the Premier League. Wales have players playing the Premier League. And I mean, that's what the difference is. That's why they start qualifying for tournaments. And that's what we just needed to click. And I'm sure.
Well, all it was missing was a finish the other night. To be honest, I just think when we've looked at Belgium, for example, and we looked at the Dutch to a lesser extent, but more Belgium. Belgium have a similar population to ourselves, and we've been helped as well by the influx of foreign nationals into Ireland. We've seen a lot of African players coming through, and the pace on the break is helped by that. And now we're going to start seeing over the next 10 years a lot of Eastern European players, probably players from the Ukraine and Poland, coming through as well. It just helps us. The football culture in Ireland is developing into something similar as to what has happened in Belgium over the last 15, 20 years. That's what excites me. I mean, I look at players like Benny, for example, coming off the bench for us, and he just looked a massive, powerful threat. Obafemi just looked unplayable. At one stage, 2 or 3 Scots just tried to hack him out of it. For me, we've invested in a system. And instead of us chasing players and individuals like we have done for years and years, I think through Stephen Kent we've said this is the way we're going to play football, and good luck to you if you can get involved in it and if you fit in it. But this is the way it's going to be, and it's just the way forward. And we seem to be embracing, and we have Stephen Kenny and whatever staff is around him to thank for that. I'm just really excited.
Lazo says,
I admire your passion, Pete, and I'd love to really share it with you. And I'm sure if we start putting results together and we start qualifying for things again, then I absolutely will. It's just,
no, don't get me wrong. Like, if he got to Euro 2024, whatever the next one is, right, and we're playing appalling football, I wouldn't watch it. The only reason I'd watch it is because someone's having a load of beers somewhere in a gaff, and we just go and watch it for the crack. But I'm not going to make it my business to go and watch it. But I think if Ireland were to make Euro 2024, I know everyone knows what sort of football Stephen Kenny likes to play. So you're going to turn up and go, right, we mightn't be as good as the people in the group, but we're going to try to play football. I'd rather teams lose playing football than scrape draws and maybe get into a playoff playing appalling stuff. And you're actually setting yourself up for a massive fall where you go to the likes of European Championships and you go, we're going to get fucking hammered here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Lazo says that was happening before Brexit. Irish lads were moving to England 2 years later already because of rule changes. According to Brady, that's killing it. Irish kids going to England too late now. I disagree completely, because I would say for every 100 guys that left Ireland at 15 to go over to England and play, I would say 80 of them don't make it and come back.
Yeah, they should be going to Europe anyway.
But they should be. But what you're seeing,
they're starting to go to Belgium. They're starting to go to play.
Yeah, they're starting to go to other places. But the thing is, like, if you look at the amount that were coming back, right? They were and especially in the last 4 or 5 years, there's more coming back now, and they're making career moves where they say, "I'm going back to Ireland to play rather than playing League Two," because they feel it's as good as standard. If you go in Ireland, the Irish teams in Europe are getting better season on season, and then you can turn around and go back. Do you know what I mean? And I couldn't disagree more, because I think them staying in Ireland and even getting an education and going over there, if you're good enough at 18, you can go over there and play. You don't need to be there at 15 and get 3 years of training over in England to be good enough. You're either good enough or you're not.
Evan Ferguson, of everybody that's gone over the last 2 years, for me is the best player, and everybody over there knows it. Evan Ferguson will, for me, as soon as he breaks in, he's one of them, like Bazanu, that will stay in. And it's exactly as you say, if you're good enough, you'll stay in the side. Even Brighton want him to be starting. The problem is he's 16. I think he's only gone 17 or gone 17. But for me, you stick him up front in what we've got now, and you've got somebody that will take and take chances. Well, for me, he's one of those jigsaw players.
Well, I think, and I hope that he's given the time, because I'd hate to see them go get someone that's just a manager that's been around bleeding 25 years, and you're just going to throw him in there because it's a big name. I think the FAI had to cut their cloth because of the way the FAI has been ran for the last 15, 20 years. And, they've fallen on this fella, and just give him all the time he wants, because the alternative is just somebody that's been around the block 40 times, comes in, says, these players aren't good enough, makes excuses from the start, and it all falls down again. So we'll have to wait and see. Moving on. Andy's loser of the week. Go on, Andy.
Look, I'm not sure what's worse, the Empire of the Cop Twitter which drew me to this topic, or Gabby himself. But
1.9 million followers.
Fair play to them. That's show business. They they photoshopped the picture of Nunez with Timberland boots on his hands and feet. You know, as Gabby had claimed that he's the worst signing in Premier League history, and
Did
that
he
like
say
Lukaku.
history?
Well, that's what the Empire of the Cop headline says. I wasn't willing to do further investigations into the nonsense.
You weren't willing to click.
No. Okay. But they said whether he said in history or in recent times or whatever, that's what he said. He cited him as one of the worst, and he's like, you know, he said something along the lines of, we look at Lukaku and say that he was wearing the Timberland boots, but look, Gabby is just the latest in a long line of idiots. You know, the contributors on TalkSport that
He's
absolutely
a puppet
hate
on a
Liverpool.
string, is what he is.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. They seem to hate Liverpool, and probably him after Klopp in particular slated him. It's a bit odd that I just think that a fellow professional is laying into a very young player, Nunez, coming into a new country, and you know, with the time to adjust. Like Gabby himself had a fairly uneventful career. Himself
he ran really
and
fast.
Yeah. And now he needs to work on a clickbait radio show to keep the wolf in the door. And Nunez is one of the most expensive strikers in Premier League history. You know, at the beginning of his career, you know, we could be having completely different conversations about Nunez. Say if that chance came across his body and he, you know, the Torres-esque finish he tried against Everton, and it was saved by Little Arms. But I think those moments, Nunez just needs one of those to happen, and then his Liverpool career kicks off of absolutely no doubt of it, and that it's going to shut the likes of Agbonlahor up. But while we're waiting for all that to happen, there's people like him diving in him, and he's just one of the biggest idiots on radio, on TV, or whatever at the moment, and that's just seems to the way the media has gone. That you just say something controversial. Here we are talking about it, fair enough, but I think the media have a more responsible job than ex-professionals to be getting stuck into a young player who, you know, was at the beginning of his career in the world at his feet. He doesn't need that shit, and we certainly don't need Liverpool websites, news websites, photoshopping Timberland boots onto his hands and feet. You know, these are supposed to be our supporters.
No, but
and they're doing this carry on.
I'm gonna hold my tongue for a minute. P. Xabi Alonso.
Yeah, listen, it's very difficult to disagree with everything that Andy says, you know, and it's a little bit churlish in the fact that, you know, Klopp has picked him out. You know, Klopp is human. Sometimes I like when Klopp goes for people because he does it in such a way that it doesn't glorify them, it doesn't highlight them, but it exposes their motives and what they are. He embarrasses people so well, and obviously Gabby can't get past that, and now it's like a lot of them, they have this thing for Liverpool, and I don't know why, because, you know, in another
because it sells.
They're looking at the money that is being spent by Liverpool's rivals, and they should be really rooting for what Liverpool are doing it the right way. But, you know, the green-eyed monster is very, very difficult to obey. I think there's a lot of satisfaction. There's a lot of you know, wistful, shall we say, jealousy and regret in some. I mean, Gabby Alonso himself had all the tools you need really to be a top professional, but wasn't professional about it. So it's, you know, he'd be looking at some of the lads today and he'd be thinking, I that should be me, and it's obvious. So for me, he's just another loser with a microphone. I mean, you can pick them out. There's one at each club, you know, representative from each club, and they get them on that talk sport, and they say, they get their 5 minutes and they say, as Andy says, the most controversial thing that comes to mind, you know, about a very young player coming in, finding his feet. He's at the club about 8 minutes, getting used to a very, very different style of play. A club like Liverpool doesn't invest that kind of money in a player. unless they've got a long-term plan for him. It's not sink or swim. It's we will develop you. Remember how long it took Andy Robertson to get used to the way we play. I know it's different for a centre forward, but it's the system is the system. And people are talking about him being a flop. Give him this season to bed in. I've no fears about this fella getting stuck into us for us. No problems at all. Let the media talk. That's all they do.
So, listen, when Xabi Alonso comes out and says stuff like this, there's no right way to respond. By staying quiet, you're allowing him to do it, right? And by responding to him, you're like, oh, you're giving your senses to him. So what are you meant to do? You meant to just sit there and let him have a free run over things? You can't. You have to answer him, and that's why he's there in the studio on his own with a set of headphones, giving all these opinions with nobody challenging him. If you stick Xabi Alonso beside, I don't know, I'll have a go at it, or any other Liverpool-based outlet, and discuss this with him. I don't think Xabi Alonso will come across too well. He's not coming across too well. Anyway, right? The algorithm with regards to TalkSport and Liverpool is it sells. Simple as that. Say a load of stuff, people click it, people go mad, and no, not even people go mad. People point out how far off the mark you are, and then all of a sudden, you're triggered, and I still don't know what the word ratio means, but they say stuff like ratio, but I don't know what it fucking means, right? I know what ratio is in mathematical terms, but I don't fucking know what it means on
how it applies
online. Yeah, all right. Liverpool-based outlets posting that picture is horrendous, in my opinion. By all means, give us the Liverpool news, have your opinion and stuff, but that was just unbelievable. I've seen Haaland comparisons with Darwin Nunez. Now, don't get me wrong, the sending off is his doing, and it sets him back in a massive way for me, because I said it on the show I done earlier, he's the first player probably in this Klopp front line where he's come in and the expectation on him is massive, because they've broken up what was the front three. Do you get what I mean? Like I said this earlier, Diaz comes in, but he has 6 months of Mane, right? There, okay? Jota comes in, expectations aren't massive. It's a bit kind of, 40 million, and he gets the bed in, but just finds his feet, and that's good. Salah comes in, and they think he's going to be the backup to the front three, if you remember, Coutinho, Firmino, Mane, right? This fella's come in, and they're like, no, you're going to be it. So he's probably the first signing up front for Liverpool where it has to all happen immediately, and the pressure is absolutely dumped on him, right? The sending off doesn't do anything for him. The Haaland comparison is madness. Haaland's on fire, don't get me wrong. He's a fucking brilliant goal scorer. But that's what he is. They're not. Man City aren't playing football with Haaland. Man City are playing a 10-man game, and they're saying to him, will you ever fuck off away from us and stand in the box? That's all he's being asked to do. He's not being asked to win headers, run channels, link play, nothing. Just react when the ball is near the goal, right? He's like, when you played football as a kid, and there was always a hatcher, as we called him, just hanging around the box, tapping the fucking thing in after all the hard work was done. But listen, Xabi Alonso has found his level in life, right? And it's not as a pundit, because I don't think many pundits exist anymore, in my opinion. They don't exist. Everyone says something for a reaction, right? He's found his level now where he goes on to TalkSport, he sticks the big cans on his ears, and they say something to him, and he goes, oh, I'd have fucking, Steve Sidwell over Xabi Alonso. Stuff like that. Right? Now, he hasn't said that, but he is going to say something like that, because his whole mantra when he walks into that room is, I need in the next hour, or however long he's on air, to say 2 or 3 things that are completely and utterly against the grain, that you'd hope, against fucking hope, that he doesn't actually believe, but this is what I have to say, right? And that'll be my job done for the day, and I'll go off and all the clicks, and that's my value to this company. And that's all it is value. Darwin Nunez has played about 5 games for Liverpool. He's had good games, he's had indifferent games, he's got sent off, he's working his way into a team that, in fairness, have looked a bit disjointed anyway. It's not like Liverpool are flying and he's missing loads of chances. It's a collective, right? And it's being pinned on him an awful lot, but you can't not respond to this guy, but at the same time you have to look at it and go, I'm dealing with an absolute fucking muppet here when I'm responding. You have to be just clear in your own mind what you're dealing with before you respond. And
Gav,
that's what I think of it anyway.
Look, absolutely, you must respond. As supporters, you have to defend your club, your players. That's what the online fans should be doing. That's what we do at the ground, is defend the players and support. So, although we know what the guys are at, the clickbait companies are at. And I think they'll die a death eventually. People will get sick of them because they're all trying to outdo each other with their madness. The stupider the comment, the more clicks and the further it goes. But I won't stop defending the club, whether it's against our own supporters who are being shitheads online, who I think get in the heads of the players and get in the heads of the fans and have a negative impact. I do the same with these assholes who are looking for attention. I don't really care if that's what they want. Because Nunez has to be defended. I think he's got off to a poor enough start, but it's not really his fault. Most exciting signings that we've made over recent years with Klopp have kind of got the benefit of being introduced into the team slowly. But he had to come in because we had injuries at the beginning of the season. I think he would have really benefited just kind of tucking in behind, coming on off the bench for Jota or Bobby. But unfortunately, he had to play the games and the huge pressure. And again, the team seem to be adjusting their shape and their, not so much the formation is still the same, but the approach to the games certainly looks different. Salah wider, and that, like, as a net result, you have Darwin Nunez a little bit isolated and the pressure mounted on him. He'll come good, but he doesn't need shitheads like Agbonlahor or anyone in the media getting on his case. And if
he
they
doesn't
do,
need
then
it,
we
Andy,
have to
but
defend them.
that's the reality of the world we live in.
Yeah.
You
And
say,
we have
I
to-
think they get fed up with it. They won't. It's only going to get worse and worse and worse to the point where you'll either get
No,
on
people
board with
get
this.
fed up with it.
Yeah, they will, but the only way to get it out of your life is to either... You'll end up with the likes of Twitter being just completely full of mental people, right? Lunatics. And the people that go, I'm not into that, they'll just stop dealing with it and they just go, I'm just knocking that off forever. Right? And that's the way it'll be. It'll just be an absolute asylum completely. Like Reclaimer says, shit talk pays the bills. The more manic you act, the better you do. That's absolutely true, because we don't get the views that other channels get, right? We don't get the reaction online that other channels get, because I know us three here and everyone else that contributes know that you're not going to come on here and act like a fucking idiot. It's just not going to happen. You'd be laughed at. You know what I mean?
We don't shout. We don't cry.
No, but I've had
We
loads of
don't-
people
we
say to
kinda-
me. But I've had loads of people say to me, just in our kind of realm, right? I've had loads of people say to us, "Why don't you like have a big stand-up row and shout mad stuff?" And I'm going, "But why? If I wanted to, I could just fucking get someone to do that every day. The same person doing it every day. They don't even believe what they're saying, and I can't sit there and talk to them. I just can't. So
That's the key.
the
That's the
Kramer's
key.
bang on what he's saying.
That's the
Come
key.
here, even
Nobody believes what they're saying anymore. And that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the shows are guys like, listen, I'm not a fan of Mark Lawrenson by any stretch of the imagination, but he made the point the other day that he was let go. And he's let go. Listen, I'm probably the only one that can say it, but the media is now a box ticking exercise. Where you have to have a certain amount of females, a certain amount of black people, a certain amount of all sort box tick. So the boxes are ticked. And then what happens is, oh, listen, this is your agenda for today. So your agenda is, I hate Mohammed Salah. And if anybody, and the great glory is, if anybody says, for example, about one of the women that's ticking a box, I can't believe what you said. Oh, so you're saying I'm not entitled to an opinion because I'm a woman? And they have it both ways. No, if that was me, I'd be on there saying, no, what you're saying is stupid. It wouldn't matter if you're white, middle-aged, haven't played in the Premier League against the likes of Mohammed Salah. What you're saying is, it's not stupid because you're a woman. It's stupid because you're you being stupid. And this is the problem. Everybody is entitled to an opinion.
This comes back, P2. This comes back, P2. The way it is at the minute, regardless of what you say, right? If no one responds to you, it looks like you're right. And if everyone responds to you, it looks like, I've triggered people. So you cannot win. But look, honest to God, we'll never scream and shout and stuff. I'd rather I'm happy being an adult. I'm a middle-aged man at this stage.
From day one, we're 10 years at this now. And from day one, we've always tried to keep it that it's, measured, balanced response to different things, like lads and girls would sit down and talk, before a match or after a match. Nobody sits around in the pub after a match or wherever you go and shouts at each other and just shouts nonsense, and it's just ridiculous. And I hope people cop on eventually, and stop.
But they won't. But that's
clicking.
Look, it's not about copping on. That's the era we're in. It's not about people copping on or being right or wrong. That's just the way it's built now. Like I'm completely okay with it.
I get that. I
It's
get that. But
completely.
hopefully, as
It
time
won't.
goes on,
It won't.
Yeah.
well,
Common sense.
how do you beat, like, I'd say the Arsenal TV is probably the catalyst for the shouty nonsense. And I mean, how do you get any more mad than to carry on that channel?
Yeah,
Well,
but what I would say
Simon
is that the Arsenal
Right.
fan TV have gone. I agree with you. Like everyone used to tune into Arsenal fan TV because it was mad, but it's actually not as mad now. It actually has
Yeah.
become more measured and studio settings and people having debate. And don't get me wrong, people will put stuff up. Not only them, because I don't really watch an awful lot of anyone, but they put stuff up, and it will be to, bang. Like people. I get emails, right? Honest to God, I get emails going. Do you want me to design a thumbnail for you? And I go, why? Oh well, I looked at your thumbnail the other day, and it wasn't dramatic enough.
Yeah.
And I went, I'm going on to talk to two lads about fucking, the price of crisps. How the fuck do I make this more dramatic for you? Your title wasn't dramatic enough. Yeah, but I'm going on to talk about Liverpool 2, like, Newcastle 0, how, or 2-1. How, all I can say was 2-1. What do you want me to say? Liverpool will win the league or something written on the front of it? Like, I don't know, but listen, we've gone way off track, but Xabi Alonso, Xabi Alonso, continue to listen to him if you want, but I think the best thing to do is give him a measured response. And if you measure a response, the chance that you won't get one back, and then you know where you stand with all that. That's a loser. We're on to... Oh, we're going to go with Andy's winner. What's Andy's winner?
Straight into my winner, yeah?
Yeah.
The winner's the LFC Legends.
Yes.
I can't believe you weren't there the weekend.
Superb.
Well, I actually didn't watch the game live. I had something else on, but I did get around to watching the highlights, and I'm glad I did. Look, I just think they serve as such a great reminder that the past Liverpool sides, good and bad, and it puts today's football and support experience into the context. They give the kids an easy opportunity for a family day out where mom and dads and their kids can sit together. Like it's a rarity these days. You're going to get to see the first team playing in the Premier League. Parents get the chance to tell their kids all about players like Alonso, Dudek, Garcia, who were all on show the weekend, and who else was there? Maxi Rodriguez. Showed them how grateful we should be for our forward options at the moment. When we had to showcase Triple H, Andre Vernon, another player who played at the weekend. See how crazy Jimmy Traore was in the flesh. Tried to explain how the fuck Stuart Downing got invited to this thing. Honestly, though, Xavi Alonso, if he wasn't managing, is Real Sociedad B team?
Yeah, the B. So he's gonna take the first team pretty soon.
Yeah. If he wasn't managing, I'd ask him back out of retirement to fill the void in midfield. Because
I love when that happens. Gerrard used to come back right at 40, and he'd go by like Franco Baresi, who's about 70, right, and score, and people go, he could still do a job.
No, honestly, because Gerrard has played in those, and there's lots of players in it, and they put on a bit of timber, and you can see the way they move. They just like they're more sluggish. But Alonso hasn't put
he's lost weight.
Single pound of weight on.
Yeah, no, we know.
Yeah, he's probably lost weight. He's probably really looking after himself well. He's a really good, great human being. Someone we should all aspire to. Yeah. But he was spraying the ball about exactly how he looked when he played for us when he was a younger player, and he looks more mobile than some of our midfield at the moment. It was an absolute pleasure to look at him. It's just, I mean, that's the type of football fan I am. I got quite nostalgic and look back and see these guys turn up again. And I think it's all done for the LFC Foundation as well. So something really good comes from it too, that people benefit. So that's my winner. Look, that's what makes Liverpool so special is they put on these things. I'm sure, like obviously there's a Man
And
United
Manchester
legend
United as
team.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair.
But
And just to add to that, Andy, Liverpool legend sent it side to Richmond Park to play against St John Bosco, my club from Drimna. One of the lads, one of the
10th of
managers.
September.
Yeah, they that passed away again. You know, they Alan O'Halloran, I think, passed on a message, and it was like, yeah, no problem, we'll be there as long as there's a couple of beers and it's for a good cause. And they were all there, and it was amazing. They played against three different selections: a Keith Bourne selection, a St John Bosco selection, and a different legend selection that was connected to the club. Again, Liverpool always, interested in where there's a community of their fans, they'll go. It's just amazing. Just to back up what you're saying, mate.
It is amazing, and like the whole LFC family thing, gets bandied around taking the piss, and you've got, we joke about it, the bottom reds who really disrespect the history, the heritage of the club, and they just don't understand that this is what makes the club so special. The community and the fact that players, when they come back, they really want to come back.
Yeah, they do.
They're not coming back to be making a fortune out of it, but they're coming back from all over the world. They're making nothing, as you say. They're doing it for charity, and they're welcome back. Even the less popular players who probably didn't do too well are players that never really established themselves. Like Robbie Keane only lasted 6 months at the club, if even that, but he was fondly welcomed. Because a lot of the time it just doesn't work out for players, but they were loved and they were adored when they were at the club. And there's not too many clubs around the world that you can kind of say that about. So I think it's a good winner. Nothing like absolutely special. It's just a thing that happens, and it's great that it does happen.
Of course, it is for the LFC Foundation, and by them players coming, giving their time, and not only giving their time, they want to be there. Like, you see the excitement in the ball when they rock up at the Access Centre. They're all looking around going, fucking hell, this place is deadly. Like, you can see Skirtle, who doesn't see the Access Centre. He's in Melwood. Skirtle leaves Liverpool 5-6 years, whatever it is, and he turns up at the Accent and he's walking and going, you can see him looking around going, this is the business now, isn't it? And Melwood wasn't bad. Melwood was just too small for them in the end for what they wanted to do. But you see those players, you see them coming out on the pitch, and I think Benitez might have been there at some stage, but Kenny Dalglish meets them, and you can see all the players, even Stuart Downing, standing waiting to greet Kenny Dalglish. Like, Stuart Downing's a 40-year-old man now at this stage, and that's the sort of thing. Manas Subedi, I hope I've said that right. Manas Subedi says the winner has to be Sidemen versus YouTubers. Raise decent amount of money and the football is okay. Yeah, I didn't see the game. I did see Mark Albridge wore a suit and looked fantastic in it, in fairness to him. But yeah, that's the sort of thing where I've no issue with. If you're out there and Mark Albridge is what Mark Albridge is, right? He's probably the best at what he is. But at the same time, I think he's part of organising what that was, raising a huge amount of money for charity, and no issue whatsoever. Absolutely, if you can put what you have back into something where you make money for charity, like, who's going to argue with it? Like, you'd be mad to. But the legend stuff, I like watching them. I'd be there and I'd watch it. But the biggest thing that comes out of it is that they should probably do it once or twice a year. They have done it this year with United. They should link up maybe more and try to do it. For me, like a bit of a, not a tournament on one day because you're restricting what you can do. But if you had the likes of Everton, even if they've done Everton, City, United, Liverpool,
Where would they get the City legends?
I don't know. It'll probably be Kev De Bruyne. It'd be a midfield. But if you even had them four and said, right, we're doing it over a 6-month period, and we're going to do a bit of round robin, and we get 8 games out of it, and I think then it could really, really kick on. But once it's for charity, there's no issue with it. And for me, it's great, like you said, Andy, for younger people that would have heard the tales of Xabi Alonso and Torres wasn't there, but Torres, or all these players that go back, and you kind of say, like, Fabrelio, Westerveld was there, and he wins a treble with Liverpool. So all these younger players, and I suppose adults seeing players that they really liked as well come back and play is nice nostalgia as well. Pete, what do you make of it before we move on?
Love it, absolutely love it. For me, it's and more for the lads themselves. If you speak to anybody who's played, they'll tell you that they miss the camaraderie. They miss, you can see it as you say, you can see the buzz in them. Not just to have a look around at the fantastic access centre, but to be with the lads again, be with lads that you haven't seen in a long time. It's brilliant to watch. It's and because the pressure's off, there's no pressure on winning. Some of the boxes of tricks that come out during the games are it's a great. I remember a few years ago going to Old Trafford actually to watch Manchester United against Real Madrid, and Zinedine Zidane and Figo. Every single Real Madrid player that you would expect to turned up there. There were Roberto Carlos. There was one player there called Ruben de la Red who had signed for Real Madrid, but had a bit of a problem with his heart, and you could actually see
I
how
remember
much.
him, yeah.
Yeah, he was a great player. Just he was just unfortunate. But you could see how much he just was loving being part of this amazing thing, and it was great to see. Great, it's always great to see it. And some of these lads are, as you know, real players.
Laszlo says Mark Obridge is a really sound, genuine lad. All that part of stuff is just him playing a character.
He's fine.
I've no issue with what Mark Obridge does. I've no issue with anyone does because I don't fucking watch it. You know what I mean? I have no issue with it. But
Mark Obridge should never be confused with these modern day shouty attention seekers.
No, hold on.
He's a totally different. I know you're not.
Mark Obridge is an
Yeah.
absolute businessman. There's no other way around that, right? And I've no issue. I've no issue with what anyone fucking does. You can do whatever you like because I don't watch. Genuinely, I don't even watch air shows back. I don't very rarely listen to air shows back because I'm fucking.
How could you watch yourself back? That's fucking
right. No, but like you know what I mean. Like even if I'm producing the background, I wouldn't go back and download it and listen back to it because I've heard it and I've edited it. So I don't actually listen to an awful lot of football stuff. I'm mad into crime stuff, to be honest with you. But I've no issue with what anyone does. But I just what gets me is when people come along to me and go, you should do that because that'll get this and that, and I go, I don't want that. I don't want that. And if I went to all the lads that do all this stuff and women that have been on, and said, well, Laura, with that, they'd all just go, would you ever fuck off and annoy me? And it just wouldn't happen. And that's the point I'm making. Go and do whatever you like. It doesn't make a bloody difference to me. I'm too worried about me putting at the moment to worry about anything else.
We all come on here, right? After a match and after the excitement, then we relax and we calm down and you try and get your point across, or to be articulate and try not to be just an attention seeker. But we all have our mad moments. We've watched games together. We turn psycho like everyone else.
Yeah.
If we wanted to video ourselves watching a match, I'm sure we get loads of lovely likes and loads of lovely clicks and loads of lovely abuse online. But who wants that? I mean, that's knee-jerk stuff. And people are able to do that 30 minutes after a game, or an hour, a couple of hours after a game, or before a game, just in the middle of the week, in reaction to a bit of transfer news. They're just acting.
Yeah,
so I'd like to think there's a bit of integrity about us that we
but
never.
It goes back, Andy, to the realm that we're in, and the way this thing is now. There's certain pressure points in these things. You know what I mean? There's certain pressure points in these things, and the pressure points right now are say this or do that or act like this or act like that. And if you want to do it, walk away. But I always kind of laugh when I see those emails come in going, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm kind of going, well, it won't fucking happen. It simply won't. Do you know what I mean? As I always say, I don't care if there's 5 people watching this. We do it, we enjoy it, and that's it. P.
Yeah.
Loser of the week. 14
Gareth
minutes.
Southgate.
Hey,
Gareth
there we go.
Southgate. Where do you start? Well, simple. Start from why he popped into my head. I don't think I've ever seen a man. No, it's a lie. But it's rare that you'll see a manager try to prove a point that can't be proven. I mean, to persist with somebody like Harry Maguire. I mean, Harry Maguire, for me, if you pick Harry Maguire, you are guaranteed to concede goals. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Nick Pope didn't cover himself in glory. We watched the game here, but it's clear that nobody around Harry Maguire has any confidence in him. Players that are playing against Harry Maguire are confident that something's going to happen when he's in and around it, so they're waiting for something to happen. And even Harry Maguire himself looks shell shocked. The camera goes to him. Do you remember years ago when Real Madrid would concede 2 or 3 goals when they had all them superstar players, and the camera would pan to about 5 or 6 of them: David Beckham, Figo, Zidane, Carlos. The camera just goes to Harry Maguire. It's become a pantomime. Gareth Southgate is a poor manager, and he knows he's a poor manager. But he seems to be choosing to be a poor manager by not doing that lad a favour and taking him out. At least Eric Ten Hag has chosen to take the guy out of the line. I wouldn't just take him out of the team, I'd take him out of the squad, because the camera inevitably goes to Harry Maguire if Manchester United have a good moment when he's not on it goes to the bench. He needs to be completely removed from everything, sent to Dubai for 6 or 7 weeks. I'm beginning to feel really sorry for him. And that's one thing. The second thing, this whole nonsense about Trent. Listen, as a Liverpool supporter, I'm delighted that Trent Alexander-Arnold is not playing for England, because you don't have the memes of, England have conceded a goal, or they conceded a goal back in 1980. That's Trent Alexander's fault. I'm glad he's not there. So they can concede 3 goals at home, and none of them are Trent's fault. And they can argue which Chelsea player, which Newcastle player, which Manchester is. I don't care if there's no Liverpool fans and players in that team. And, just to persist with things, sometimes I think in management, you see Klopp. Klopp came out and made and I compared everyone to Klopp, because Klopp is the benchmark for managers in my view. Guardiola is the benchmark for coaches, but Klopp is the benchmark for managers, because he comes out and he says things the odd time. Like the other weekend, a few weeks ago, saying, listen, everybody was right, we need midfielders. That's something where you're managing not only your club, but you're managing other people's conversations about the club. You're managing things getting heated. When you're turning around, you're having a moment of humility for whatever reason, and you're saying, listen, I was completely wrong about that. He might have a myriad of reasons for saying it, but he's done it. Gareth Southgate just doesn't seem to have to go on the camera after tonight and say, let's take the positives. We did this, we did that. We're great going for it. I mean, you have to watch Gary Lineker and people like that turn around and say, England, we can't defend. We need to focus on what we're good at, which is attacking. It's a nonsense. There seems to be this clamour to defend ineptitude. And it's part of this whole social media thing. I think you're right, Andy. But to turn around and not just say, listen, there are certain people that need to be taken out of the spotlight. I mean, we can talk forever about, I would have my views on why Trent is not in that 11. You can't have a Trent in that back four when John Stones and Harry Maguire are in it for starters. But that's a different. Gareth Southgate is my loser because of his persistent attitude in doing the wrong thing. It seems to be like a game. How long can I do this? And if one day I prove everyone wrong, then I'm right. It's just mind-boggling at this stage.
Andy,
how much loser he is.
Gareth Southgate, Pete's loser.
Yeah. I mean, look, Pete's dead right. How Harry Maguire is rated by any professional or top manager is beyond me. But the part of this for us is how low we rate Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I did get some of it last time around, because we wanted England don't play like Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't a right back as such. He's playing in a very specialised position in the Liverpool team, where he finds himself sometimes ahead of Salah, or sometimes inside. And he's a creator. England don't do that. They don't have the team, they don't have the players, they don't have the manager, they don't have the balls, they don't play the high line that Liverpool do. So you can understand he is a bit of a round peg in a square hole for them. But to be not included in the squad at all, to be fourth in the pecking order, behind the right back options they have. But I looked at it tonight and, only barely watching it, but they did play 5 across the back. Am I right? They played Maguire, Stones, and Eric Dyer.
3-5-2.
So 3-5-2. So
5-3-2.
Would that? Yeah. So would that not be the absolute ideal position for Alexander-Arnold to play? Is in a right wing back if he's in a non-familiar team. I mean, he doesn't have massive defensive duties, and he can do all the attacking and all the creating he wants. So if further emphasise the point about Southgate not rating him, I mean, I kind of got it. Like when it happened last year, and Neville done a lot of talking about it and kind of he made a lot of sense as to why he wouldn't be fancied in England back four, because it's just they just don't have the midfielders that are going to come across. And I think Bellingham played in midfield tonight, and
Royce.
who played in midfield? Who? Royce, yeah, good defensive midfielder. To be fair, and very disciplined. But on what would have been Trent's side would have been Bellingham, who's more of a creative attacking player. So I would have got it, if it was a back four. But no, I don't get it now. If that's the setup that England are going to be playing, then it's kind of laughable that Trent's not even got. Look, there is quality with our players, but to be left out of the squad altogether, I hope Trent steps down for England while Southgate is there and just concentrates on his Liverpool career.
Well, you see, I have issues with Gareth Southgate going previous back to stuff with Trent Alexander-Arnold when he left him out of another squad, didn't he? And start, basically saying, oh, well, if he gets better, he might come in. He was patting him on the head, and I was like, you're a fucking wanker, right? He is absolutely fucking mute when Joe Gomez gets injured or international duty, which does my head in. Come out and tell us what happened. But you see, getting away from the Trent argument, whether he should be in the team or not, Gareth Southgate picked players for that squad, right? And said he was picking them on form, which is complete and utter bollocks, right? Because he was picking players there. Harry Maguire's not on form. Luke Shaw's not on form, right? Mount is not in good form. Sterling and Kane are. Royce is being decent this season.
James Maddison should
right. But hold on. But you look at centre half. Tomori doesn't get a game in Italy where he plays every week and then's left out. Right? So he's lying to people when he says he's picking them on form. He's not. What he's doing is he's picking his favourites because he can't get away from that core 14 or 15 that he wants to play with and substitute on and off. He cannot get away from it. He cannot adjust to it. He's going to play that way. That's why you're seeing Luke Shaw again make an appearance, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, if he's telling lies about that, right? And if you take him even if you take him at face value, Trent shouldn't be in that England team. Shouldn't be in that squad. He shouldn't have picked them because Trent hasn't been good enough this season to get into an England team. Why is he picking Walker, Trippier, Reece James and Trent Alexander-Arnold in the same fucking squad? Right? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Just reeks of indecision.
No, listen, Trent Alexander is never going to sue him. I said it earlier. He should just hope that Southgate has a nightmare, right? And at the World Cup, and he's gone, and someone will come in, because I agree with the point that I've seen people saying, "Oh, I'm not surprised Southgate doesn't really want to play Trent because he can't defend." Utter bullshit. Trent Alexander-Arnold can defend, right? If he couldn't defend, he wouldn't be in that team from 2017 onwards, and he's won everything in front of him, right? Liverpool have not carried a defender in that team for 5 years. It's as simple as that. Right, so that's more lazy bullshit. Where
but Gav, right? Look, to be
I agree,
fair,
Andy, that you could play him.
England,
you could play him if you were saying, "I'm going to play a wing back." Right, your defensive duties are a little bit reduced because we've 3 centre halves. But the problem is you can't play him because if you're going to play Harry Maguire and Eric Dyer there, right, Stones is a good centre half, in my opinion. But if you're going to play them two, right, and you're going to play Bellingham in midfield that wants to go forward, and you're going to leave Royce in there in his own, you can't play Trent anyway. You can't play him. Reece James is playing as a wing back, and he's the best right back in the world. He's not even a right back. He's playing in a 5 at Chelsea.
They're playing 3 centre halves, Gav.
But they're playing. I know that. But Andy, I'm going to tell you, if you went in there and you said, right, just for argument's sake, England had Kanate, Van Dijk, and give me another great centre half, right? And you said, there's the 3 that are centre half. You could play anyone at right wing back,
any fullback,
right?
Yeah,
anybody, because you know that they're not really them 3 are holding the back.
Yeah, it comes down to the
Maguire is being picked for a reason beyond what's going on. I don't know, right? Stones is good. Dyer has been good for Spurs, but Dyer's been in and out, and he's been in defensive midfield for England, and he's been everywhere. And the reason Trent isn't playing is nothing to do with Trent can't defend. It's because they can't trust Trent to go and influence a game going forward because of the people behind them. Arsenal done it for ages. They played Kieran Tierney as a left-sided centre-half in a 3 because they couldn't trust their centre-backs. He was a really good defender. They needed him at centre-half because they couldn't trust the centre-backs. And that's what the problem is. Southgate is a spoofer, right? And you'll see when it comes to picking the squad, he's going to pick as close to the Euro squad that he picked. And you know what? I'd love to see someone go through a mad run of form, right? Come out of nowhere, Tony, 20 fucking goals in the next fucking 12 games, right?
Like
Or whatever it is, right?
Young Madison.
Yeah, and then he doesn't pick him or doesn't play him, and they fall on their arse because he cannot get away from what he has in front of him or what he's done before. He can't change system, he can't change personnel, and when he changes personnel, he thinks, oh, I'm weakening myself, and he comes right back in. Foden, Saka, Kane, all in form, and he should be saying, forget about the frailties we have there, look at the strength we have here. We should be pushing on teams and trying to win games. Bellingham can do it all from midfield. Rice is great in midfield. Why are they pulling these players back and curtailing everything that they can do? Because he doesn't trust, and he continues to pick fellas that aren't getting a game every week.
And this is what I'm saying. He's not doing Maguire. He's doing more damage to that fella, to be honest with you. It's incredible. I mean, the stubbornness, and there's this English stoicism, and then there's just stupidity. I mean, that's what makes him such a loser. He's just stupid. A wise man picks up the phone to Harry Maguire. He's not even your captain. Picks up the phone and says, listen, it's not happening for you. You need away from the game. You need to focus on what's going on in Manchester United. And I know what you're capable of. We'll look at it again in 6 months, but this is not going to be a tournament. And you're talking about
he goes into that game tonight.
To Qatar.
But hold on, he goes into that game. He goes into that game tonight, Pete. There's a dead rubber, and he's had a squad there, right? Henderson goes in, and I was fuming when Henderson went in, but I kind of realised now, he's probably in there and he's training every day, and he comes on tonight for a minute or two, right?
He wants to play in the World Cup game.
Yeah, completely, and I get that, but I'm a Liverpool fan, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't give a fuck what England do. I want them on the pitch on Saturday for Liverpool, right? Some people don't, but we're not getting into the Henderson thing, right? But what I'm saying is, right, he brings them in, right? He brings them in, right, to that squad. Tony, Tomori and others, right? When they get beaten at Italy, and this is a dead rubber, why isn't he turning around and saying to himself, do you know what? I'm going to keep 7 of me 11 that I like, and I'm going to put 4 in. I'm going to put Tomori, Tony, Alexander-Arnold and somebody else in there, and I'm going to play them. Because it's absolutely pointless what's going on with Tony, Tomori and Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's pointless what's going on. They've gone into a squad, right? They're all playing football every week. They're picked on form, as he said, and then in a dead rubber, he still doesn't go away from what he does. And it's all because of his own ego and how people perceive him. Not the good of his squad, not the good of his players, not the morale, nothing. Gareth Southgate was picking his team tonight to try win a dead rubber so he can come out of this week with some credit. And that's where his issue is. He's not looking to mould a squad, develop a squad, bring players in, make them feel good about themselves. None of that. There's players gone away from that squad now after those 2 games where they've lost and drawn, and they've turned around going, this is bollocks. Right? In a dead rubber game. You see it in World Cups. Team wins 2 games. Their last game, what did they do? They give everyone a game. They give as many as they can as a game because they know they're top in the group. This is a dead rubber in a fucking Nations League game that I don't even know what the the purpose is. And he still picks 9. Is it 9 of his 11 from Friday night?
Gav, he actually said in his post-match interview that the idea was to give everyone a game.
When?
And then I don't know. That's what he said over the 2 games. And then he was asked about Trent, and he kind of just, fannied around the point. Yeah. I think Tom Boland, was it, in the comments, makes a good point that he's just a puppet for the FA and he's actually not a decision maker.
Which is all they ever want. Goes all the way back.
I mean, backward FA views on things. Trent is the one to miss out. Look, if you look at that game tonight, it's probably just as well he didn't play, because he would have been the scapegoat for what went on.
But he will continue to be, Andy, because if he goes to Qatar and England go into a game and they put Trent in, right, for argument's sake, Trippier doesn't make the squad because of injury, right? Reece James goes down during the tournament. Trent has to come into a crunch second game, right, and plays, and England draw the game. You know who it's going at. You know who they're going after. Oh, there you go. He's fully we should back him on his decisions, because he puts Trent in, and what happens? We don't win the game. This is the way. And again, I go back to, this is the realm of football we're in now, where it's all reactionary and he's told lies this week. He's told lies about how he's picked the squad, players getting games, all this stuff, and he's done it all for himself. He's done nothing for nobody this week, Gareth Southgate. And I don't know why I'm getting so annoyed, because I don't give a fuck how he does for England. But when I see, I just can't abide when they come out and say this stuff, and you know they're lying through their teeth. And I feel sorry for and Trent is the most high profile. When I look at other players there, you know, like any centre half in that squad can't be looking at Harry Maguire going, how's he playing this?
I mean, you're right. You picked out Tomori. A few lads that I know picked out Tomori. English lads that
He's being raved about.
He's a big, physical, quick, strong. He's everything that people pretend Harry Maguire is.
Yeah.
And he'd go in there and he'd do a job. There'd be no mistakes out of him. Listen, there's no even explanation for it. It's almost like, listen, I'm going to do this. Doesn't matter how many mistakes he makes. It's incredible. If you went in there and you didn't know who anybody was and you just watched the games, you would go, what is this lad doing in an international squad? No pace, no ability to pass it out from the back, no organisation, no respect from others. Fullbacks panic when it's coming to him. It's just...
Did Harry Kane play the whole game tonight?
Yeah.
And did he play the whole game in Italy on the weekend?
I'm not sure if he played the whole thing against Italy. We played the whole game.
Because to me, like, again, you have to bring other forwards in. And what will happen in this tournament again is if Harry Kane goes down and you have to bring another forward in, they go, oh, well, that's why he plays Harry Kane all the time, because these fellas can't do it. These fellas aren't being given a chance to do it. You know, it'd be like walking into a job tomorrow and people go, you're just doing his job over there. Well, what is it? I don't fucking know. Just do it, will you? It's mental. But look, we have to get out of here. It's gone 11 o'clock. I have to read a few ads before we go because I completely forgot in the middle, right? So you can all turn off now and fuck off if you want. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. It can be tough to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode when faced with a challenge in life. But when you learn how to find your own solutions, there's no better feeling. A therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easier to accomplish your goals, no matter how big or how small. If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. Convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online, where you can get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey and switch therapists anytime. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/daytrippers to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/daytrippers. IPVanish is our VPN partner at the moment, and they are offering 70% off VPN for a year. It's working out at about $34, which at the moment is about €34, or indeed £34 for the year. Check it out at ipvanish.com/daytrippers. Protect yourself, protect your passwords. When you're on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, even your Fire Stick, when you're streaming media, it protects everything for you if you could log on to your VPN. So check out ipvanish.com/daytrippers, and you're getting it for about, I think it's $34, somewhere between 24 and 28. But that is that. And Paramount Plus are streaming all the Champions League this season. Every minute of every game, extra time, injury time, penalties, wherever it may go to in the end. But they are streaming every game for the Champions League for the 22-23 season. Check them out on Paramount Plus. It's about $10 a month. And anyone I know that's got it has said it's very good. Pete, anything else before we go?
No, nothing else. It's good to be back. Sorry, I've been away. But yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be back talking about sensible things. Definitely.
Good stuff. Before I ask Andy anything before we go, in the show description you will see a link to our show where me, Phil and Keith ranked the Liverpool managers from Shankly right up to Klopp. It was a good show. We really, really enjoyed it. Bookmakers.com, we teamed up to do that. So the link for that show is in the description, and the link to the follow-up article by Bookmakers.com. So I really want more people to watch that show because we had a great time doing it. Andy, anything else before we go?
FIFA is shy.
It's not shy, because no, you're just having withdrawals now when you're saying, no, I'm not getting it. And in a week's time you'll be going, what's the name of that club you were playing in, pro clubs? And we'll be all playing together.
No, I nearly smashed the joypad up there loads of times actually, but I stopped playing FIFA a few months ago. It was killing me, like seriously.
New Warzone is out on the 16th of November.
It drives you absolutely mental. So no more FIFA, but loads of Call of Duty. I'm getting fucking brilliant at that again, by the way.
Call it Modern Warfare 2, the new one.
Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah.
I
haven't heard great things about it. Some people have the beta version out now and they're they're
A
worrying into
couple
it.
of lads
But
are saying the beta version is deadly, but I don't. Small maps don't do it for me. Warzone 2 is out on, I think it's the 16th of November, and I'll be all over that, and I'll be shy at it, but I'll
yeah,
absolutely have a ball playing it. Me and Carl
I've
Foley.
now I've been playing a lot of hardcore free for all.
Yeah.
You come
And the new
across the
golf game
same.
is out. New golf game is out in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, I'll have a
2K23.
go. I'll have a go at
On
that.
Xbox or PlayStation, boys?
Xbox.
Nice.
Xbox,
Xbox.
but the Call of
Xbox One?
Duty's cross-platform anyway.
Cross Duty's cross-platform. The FIFA, I'm not too sure if it'll be, but
Not
it's
yet,
next year. And the golf, don't think it's cross-platform, but I only play with
don't think so.
people I know anyway, so it doesn't matter. Kev said he's playing FIFA 23 now, and it's cracking. Doesn't make a difference, Kev. Andy says no. All right.
No. Bring back Pro Evo circa 2002.
No, 2008. 2008.
Nah,
with,
ISS Superstar Soccer Deluxe
yeah,
on the Super
no, the
Nintendo
one
was the
with
best.
Adriano. Remember that Inter team? That
Yeah, it
was
was Pro Evolution 6.
unbelievable game.
That was 2008, was it?
6, maybe 7.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, Ibrahimovic and Adriano.
Adriano was on the box, yeah, remember that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Bobby's Wish to Walk, as Laura says, so close on Bobby's Wish to Walk. Yeah, listen, 6,200 or something along them lines. But it's really, really close. So if you can, share the link. It's in the description and all that stuff. Thanks a million for watching, winners and losers. Thanks to Andy. Thanks to Pete. Thanks to everyone in the chat. It's been another cracking show. We've nothing on tomorrow night. Wednesday night we have a draft that Keith's in charge of. I know me and Matt from Canada are involved in. I'll get one more person to do it, and Keith's just going to make evil rules. Thursday will be the viewer's voice. Friday will be Premier League forecast. Saturday is full-time Reds after the Brighton game, and Sunday is the Fatback 4. That is it, I promise. Over and out.